Okay, hello everyone. We're back for, I believe, video 8. And here we are. I am already opening up a Vegas Pro video editing session here. And I really wanted to show you guys as much as I can. I think we left off the last video with creating characters. And as I believe I was saying, you don't even really need a character sheet. I don't usually use a character sheet. I usually just go with one solid frontal image of the character. Actually, the same image that we were using to create the character sheets. That's usually all I need to create all my scenes, all my start frames. I see how it can be useful to create a full character sheet, especially with the newer AIs and agentic AIs that are just building everything from assets and from what you tell it to build. I see how that could be useful. But so far in my workflow, I haven't been using agents. I'm just really going scene by scene. Again, we have the video sped up 4 times here, so it's going pretty fast. I'm not actually creating and editing this fast. As I've mentioned before, it just takes a lot of time to create video and to edit things and to create assets from scratch. And if I'm actually documenting my process as I'm making a real movie, and I get it, you can make a movie for the point of making a course. You can make a movie for the point of documenting it. In my case here, the movie really comes first. I'm making the movie regardless. I make about 2 feature AI movies a year, and I have been for the last couple of years. But this one's going to be a big one, because this is me returning to 2D, returning to anime, and I'm really excited about that. So as you can see here, I'm actually still creating assets. I created the Vegas profile, which is my editing program. And I did that because what I like to do is dump the video clips directly into an editing timeline. I mean, you can organize them and you can do this in any order you want. Some people would probably prefer to build an entire scene, generate everything at once, upscale it at once, and then import everything into the timeline and edit it at once. And I get it. That's probably the traditional way of doing it. Me personally, and the way you're going to see me do it here, is just actually kind of as you go. And of course, I wrote the script all at once. And I believe that it's important to have a clearly, at least as best you can, a clearly defined story and know how things are going to end. And definitely know the characters involved and the situations and the scenes. You need to know what style it's in. So you do need to figure out a lot beforehand. And also the script gives you essentially a shooting script. So you know what is happening. You might see that I'm basically just going from script to movie. And I'm really skipping the storyboards, I'm skipping the concept art, I'm skipping any heavy like mood boards or Pinterest boards or any of that. Personally, I don't work with any of that because I don't think it's necessary for me. I have the story in my head. I guess my logic is, if you know the story, why do you need a storyboard? What are you showing? Who are you showing this to? If the storyboard just consists of a bunch of shots of people talking, when I need that, I can prompt that. I don't need to have a storyboard to tell me that. Flipping back to what's happening in the video here, I'm actually making this space battle scene. That's how the movie opens up. And it's kind of vague. I don't even exactly know what's really happening in the battle, other than the 4 or 5 lines I have in the beginning of the script. But I'm just going with that and just trying to create something interesting. And as I was doing it here, I'm not even sure if I got to it at this point. At this point, I'm still designing spaceships because, and I get it, that is the beauty and that is the advantage of doing all of that concept artwork and storyboarding and character creation and all of that beforehand. And I get it, that is the beauty, that is the value in doing all of that work beforehand, all of that storyboarding and character creation and concept work. At this point, I would already have my spaceships. I would already have all my characters designed. I sort of have it in my head. So as I'm doing it here, and I think this is important when you're documenting these things, in a regular how-to video, you would just see everything happen perfectly. You would see the steps as they occur in a best case scenario. But here I am actually making a movie, and when you actually do things for real, you come up against obstacles, and you have roadblocks, and you have things that don't work out exactly as they're supposed to, or as you think they are. So you come up against something that it's a problem that you have to solve. So you really do have to problem solve your way through a lot of this content creation and a lot of this making an AI movie business. I'm creating the spaceships and creating the robots because I haven't even done it at this point yet. I'm creating robots that are fighting the spaceships. and they all look like Gundams. I'm not prompting them to be Gundams, but I'm prompting them to be mech-style battle suits, giant robots fighting spaceships, holding a cannon. You can see some of them here. Some of the ones I've chosen here aren't so Gundam-like, but they are a little bit reminiscent of maybe some other video games or some other anime or some other franchises. So a lot of these are pretty close. They're not exact. I don't know. I wouldn't be comfortable using them because it was actually giving me some straight up Gundams. So those I would definitely not be comfortable using. You know, it might be close. I know that AI is reinterpolating things in a unique way. So I'm pretty confident that it's not going to be exact line for line, but it might be close enough. Definitely some of the blue and white Gundams it was giving me were close enough to where I wouldn't be comfortable using them. And even these blue and red ones, I don't know, they might look kind of like, I'll try to find the most generic renderings that it's giving me. So I did actually create some videos from those. And here I am in Midjourney adjusting the settings, going for more variation, more weirdness, more or less stylization to see if that helped. And that did. There's a Gundam with a skirt, and I think there have been Gundams with skirts before. And to be honest, I probably wasted about $5 or $10 in credits, maybe even more, rendering out a lot of these videos with pseudo Gundam looking robots. And then after I got there and I threw them in the timeline, I realized, this isn't gonna work. These look too close. So I had to go through the trouble of redesigning my robots. So I am going through the process here. This is really the core process here. As we're generating the videos, and this could be dialogue, this could be non-dialogue video, whatever. I'm pretty much just going through them, generating them, deciding what I want to keep, downloading what I want to keep, putting the usable videos in the video folder that we made, upscaling those, and then taking the upscales and moving them to the upscale folder. And then from there, dropping them directly into the Vegas timeline. Really pretty easy. So I'm using Topaz AI to upscale the videos, and once they're upscaled, it's a pretty easy process. Like I said, you just throw them directly into, you just organize them to the folder that you need them to go in, and then throw them right into Vegas, and then there they are in your timeline. And there's a couple things in Topaz that I have preset, just to make sure that it upscales them to the proper size, enhances them. Topaz is actually really good. It does a really good job at upscaling, and it has a couple different algorithms you can use for upscaling different things. The one that's made for animation, I'm not really sure if that's, I don't know. I tried that, and I don't really think it's the best. I'm using one that I believe is for video, but that seems to be working a little bit better. They do have AI upscaling as well, which is really good for adding detail and adding resolution, which is amazing that's even possible now. I mean, not that long ago, that wasn't even a thing. Again, I'm throwing a lot of these in Krita and fixing them. Actually, before I even get there, what I'm doing here is I'm throwing them into Nano Banana, again using Higgsfield. And I'm throwing the image into Higgsfield and using Nano Banana to edit out the background. And that's huge. I used to do that in Krita. It would honestly take a lot of time. I mean, not hours, but for half a dozen of those character shots, it would probably take me 1 hour. You know, to go in and manually erase everything, manually erase the borders around the character, delete out the background, clear it out. And see, Nano Banana is able to do it for you in seconds. Actually, more like minutes, because this is sped up, right? But in probably 1 or 2 minutes, it's able to spit out a very clean white background image of the character, which is, for the most part, all I really need to make videos. But you'll see here that without even making proper character sheets for these new character designs, for these new astronaut robot designs, why not threw it in Krita? And this is what I would have to do before Nano Banana and before AI art, is to get a clean background image of something that you drew. You would have to do, or more likely, if you drew it in the first place, you just wouldn't have a background. You wouldn't draw that. But if you had to edit one of your own images, or if you're editing a reference image, that's what you would do. And a lot of times I would do that with my own images just because, like, for whatever reason, when I would export them or I would turn them into a PDF, when I would turn them into a PNG and take out the background, a lot of times, even if you erase the whole thing, you would get artifacts that would have to be erased. So a lot of times I would just have to manually clean things up. There's a lot of manual cleanup in manual art, digital art, even when you're doing things like automatically removing backgrounds. So here, again, this is a testament to the fact that we don't really need a full character sheet to do video generation. Here I am generating videos with these new characters, and in a minute or two, you'll see that they pop out pretty much with the characters that we're giving them. I mean, there might be some slight variations, but probably not any more than if we gave it a full character sheet. So, what does that tell you? So yeah, using these new characters is a lot better. It's a lot less of an IP worry. I would say it's really no IP worry since these are not even anything close to something that's been done before. I mean, maybe kind of close, but not in the way that those Gundam images and Gundam videos were like, it's a Gundam! A little joke for you there, guys, who little joke for people who've seen Gundam Wing, right? Anyway, getting back to the movie here. So, a lot has gone into this, and we haven't even done the first 5 minutes of the movie. I think in the timeline here we might have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, but not even that. So you might see it here. What it's actually doing is I'm using Higgsfield to create these videos with Seed Dance 2. And unfortunately, Seed Dance 2 requires you to check your images. Any image that you upload as a reference, as a start frame, as a character reference, you need to check to see if it's eligible or not. And I suppose that's checking for copyright and checking to see if it's a famous person or something well known. And that's really sort of the funny thing, is that it was taking the Gundam images that I thought were more like what a Gundam, exactly on the nose of what a Gundam is, and it was not taking the images that were more like the I guess what are Halo characters, which to me seemed more generic, but it was not accepting those. It was able to make videos with the Gundam characters that I just believe are too infringing on IP and not or on the nose. Interestingly, when it finished rendering them, for most of them, it did give me that pop-up that says, "Are you sure this is your IP? Click here to click here to guarantee that you own this IP." So I clicked it and downloaded it anyway, even though I don't own that IP and I'm not going to use it. But it's kind of funny that it says that after accepting the start frame as eligible and not accepting other images as eligible. And that kind of makes you wonder what the criteria even is and how it's choosing these things. And I get it. I've heard some other creators say that they don't like Higgsfield for that reason, and that they don't want to use a product with extra layers of security added to it, which I get. I totally get that criticism, and I feel that way too. I'm very anti-censorship and anti, I'm pretty laissez-faire, do what you want when it comes to AI. But again, I do understand why those safeguards are there, and I believe that they are necessary for the most part. I don't know if having them be that extreme is necessary, but and not to say anything bad about Higgsfield. I actually like Higgsfield a lot. I continue to use them even with little security hiccups like that. And I've even had it be a problem where it actually doesn't let you use an image of you or it doesn't let you use an image that it created, you know, or something like that, which is frustrating. But again, in my case, for me, there's always been a workaround, and I'm usually able to make it happen, you know. So again, here we're still uploading videos. I'm sorry, we're still upscaling videos, generating them, and throwing them in the timeline. And it's a pretty straightforward process. There really isn't much to it. And to be honest, this is how most of the movie is going to be made. And I believe that I took you through as much of the script writing process as you can reasonably catch on video. We do have a full script now at this point. You just saw me write the first 30 pages. That's about half of it, really. I mean, you saw me write the first 30 pages. Hopefully I won't have too many dead ends to show you, but when we do have them, it's always a learning experience, and it's a good thing to grow on. So that's about that, and I'll see you in the next video.